Hi, I'm Tara Bennett, and I am here talking with three wonderful women of science, astronauts, and also stars now of the new documentary One Strange Rock for National Geographic. And we are so pleased to have you guys with us to talk about what you do, inspiring, other women with science, the world with science, other people that are just interested in the work that you've done. This documentary is so beautifully done. Darren Aronofsky is an executive producer, and it's got a really beautiful visual style, but what I really love is that it personalizes your stories. It really integrates what you have done and how it's impacted how you see the world. So tell me a little bit about the process of them coming to you, and if you were surprised by what the final product is, because documentaries have a tendency to be talking heads, but this is very special.
Who's going first?
Well, so I'll start off, but I think you guys have really incredible stories to tell about it. For me, when I first heard about it, they were talking about some of the things that I'm excited about as a little kid. I love the idea of how life came to this planet, right? Life from lifelessness, how it came to be. And it was one of the science projects I always had for about 4 years, called Arrows of Time. And so I was thrilled to be able to be a part to maybe try to help convey this story to the public. Now, I didn't know how much personal things they were having, and I thought it was going to be sort of more the sort of talking about it and things like that. So I was surprised as they started to incorporate things from my regular life, and including my cat.
Yes, right?
Very exciting.
Yes. Yeah. But it's so personal, and it humanizes and lets us really get to know you as people, along with what you're excited about. Were you also surprised by how they framed some of your personal stories, Nicole? Or?
Yeah, but it's one of the things that I found to be really beautiful about it was, and that I knew my friends, my colleagues were going to be, and that I would learn something about them as well, and their connection through their spaceflight experience, which I think is what we were looking for there, to our home planet. And so that was really interesting to me. And the idea that, when we go to space, we have this really wonderful opportunity to see Earth and from this vantage point that is almost indescribable. And we've been allowed to separate from Earth in a way that then made me feel more connected to Earth as my home than I really ever did when I was right down here in the middle of it. And that's what I think One Strange Rock is doing with this series too, is they're taking these personal stories, they're connecting that perspective that you get from space, but they're allowing everybody else to feel it in a way that's like stepping out of the day-to-day of life on Earth and recognizing that you are an Earthling on a planet.
I think for me, perspective is a huge part of what the advantage of being in space gives us. But the one thing I like to think of as, we spend so much time and effort, with our life support systems, with our thermal regulation systems on the spacecraft to try and keep us alive. That's how we stay safe. And you look back at Earth, and it's like, hey, little spaceship Earth is out there. And it's got its thermal control systems. It's got its carbon dioxide removal systems, and it's and it's amazing to me to have that perspective of everything that's provided on that little spaceship Earth. And it's, I think, amazing.
It's stunning, even just from the first episode, the first episode is called Gasp, and it's talking about oxygen and how the equilibrium of the Earth is so amazingly regulated all on its own. And I'm looking at it going, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that. And you feel like, this is stuff you've been taught, but it's been framed in such a fascinating way, as well as what you said, which is, you guys get to look at the world as a whole when you're up there in this amazing space. So getting the opportunity to get the world to look at it more as a world, do you feel like this documentary is doing that in a different way?
I like the tiniest thing to the biggest thing, and I think in space you see this huge vastness of space, and thousands and thousands and thousands of stars. And each one of those has its own solar system, and there's planets and moons, and then that's just our little galaxy, and it just is mind-boggling, the numbers. And so I think some of that scale is illustrated pretty well in just the things on our Earth, and I think the show actually shows that.
It's one of my favorite parts of it, because I don't know. I look at Earth, and we have this spaceship that is our home.
Yes.
And it takes care of us. And when we go to space station, I look at it like, and I think this is what's so great about it too, is everything we're doing there, everything you just did for 9.5 months up there, whether it was how you lived there, the science you were doing, the maintenance, is helping improve life here on Earth. And even when we explore out, even when we explore out to that bigger universe, it's giving us this view back at our own home planet that is pretty significant in all of that, that wider universe too.
When I went, I want to do something just in terms of when I went into space. So for me, I never thought that the borders made any sense, that I knew that rivers flowed across countries. I knew that the weather changed. And someone who actually loved being international travel and living in other places before I ever came to NASA, that wasn't something I took with me. But what I took away when I went up there is my connectedness with the Earth and the rest of the universe. And I think one of the things that sometimes happens as humans, we think of ourselves as separate from the rest of the universe. What we're not. And we have as much right to be here as any speck of stardust. And so what One Strange Rock helps us to see is how that interconnection supports our life. And I hope reflexly that we understand that because we're Earthlings, that we have to take care of this planet, because it might not always support our life form if we don't do a better job these days.
You know, when you go up into space and you have this very rare experience, you come back to Earth feeling that you have a new mission in a way.
I wanted to include as many people as possible in the experience and what we do with space. So for me, it wasn't, it was like, how do we use remote sensing to help people around the world, whether it's in agriculture, mapping? How do we tell the story in such a way that people feel that they can engage in the bounty of space exploration? And then also about science, technology, and mathematics, that we all have a role to play, and that every group of people have been involved in space exploration. For me, it was really about how do I make sure people are included?
Yes. How about you guys?
Yeah, I personally don't know of any astronaut who, while they are an astronaut or once they retire and go on and do something new, that doesn't feel an obligation to share that experience. And in my mind, I have it is in the back of my mind every day now. It's there, it's part, I think it becomes part of you.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
You know, whether you're going off to become a university professor or to go paint or to do more science or whatever it is, that it goes with you. And yeah, it's an obligation, I think.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything different to add. It is something that you feel, I think, personally after you come home.